Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you all must be staying indoors and taking good care of yourselves. Today, I would be explaining to you the chapter number 4 of your book, First Flight. The name of the chapter is From the Diary of Anne Frank. This chapter happens to be an excerpt from the diary of a 13-year-old Jewish girl known as Anne Frank. While she was hiding in Amsterdam, she wrote diary, and this happened to be, worldwide bestseller because it told about the circumstances, the prevailing circumstances with the Jews under the Nazis and what happened to them, how they were persecuted and how everything happened to them. So let's start reading the chapter. First of all, you must have seen that right at the very beginning, you have been given one picture, and this picture happens to be of Anne Frank. Look, this is the picture. And why I'm showing you this chapter, this picture, because Anne Frank says that this is a photo as I would wish myself to look all the time. Then I would maybe have a chance to come to Hollywood. So Anne Frank wants herself to be remembered like this. And why is this picture so important? Because she died at an early age of a disease called typhus, and at the time of her death, her face was something very different. When this all kind of things happened with her and her family, it was only her father who remained alive, and he found this diary written by his daughter and he got it published. And this diary, even though it was written in Dutch, but it was translated to so many languages across the world and happened to be one of the best sellers. So let us continue with the chapter. Okay, so this is your page number 48. Anneliese Marie Anne Frank, born on 12th June 1929 and to February or March 1945, was a German-born Jewish girl who wrote while in hiding with her family and 4 friends in Amsterdam during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. So, in World War II, the Germans, they occupied Netherlands. And in such circumstances, Anne Frank was hiding with her family and other 4 friends in Amsterdam. And during this, she happened to write this diary. Her family had moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, but were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into the Netherlands. So they had come to Amsterdam and they were trapped there because when they thought to move ahead, the Germans, they had occupied Netherlands also. So they didn't have any other way to move away from the, Amsterdam. So they had to be in hiding. They had to hide there. As persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. So they hid in their father's Otto Frank's office building. because these persecutions by the Germans, they had become all the more intense. After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system, where Anne died of typhus in Bergen, Belgium, within days of her sister Margaret Frank. So, this was very tragic, but then after 2 years in hiding, they were detected, they were found out, and then they were moved to the concentration camps. And she died of typhus, of the disease typhus. Before her sister Margot had also succumbed to her illness. She also had died, and after her, Anne Frank also died of a disease, typhus. Her father Otto, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved. So after the war ended, Otto Frank returned, and he saw the diary of Anne Frank. Convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. So, Otto Frank was very convinced that this diary was a unique record, a record of whatever happened to this family. So he got it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. Students, here I would like to intervene and say that till last year we had this novel prescribed by our CBSE for our class 10th, but now we don't have this novel. The novel was the same, The Diary of a Young Girl, and if you want to know more about Anne Frank, then you should definitely read that novel, The Diary of Anne Frank, and it records in detail whatever happened to it. It's a perfect piece, a masterpiece of writing by a young girl like Anne Frank. She was only 13, remember. Okay. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her 13th birthday and chronicles the events of her life from 12th June 1942 until its final entry of 1st August 1944. So on her 13th birthday, she was gifted this diary, and her diary records the events in a chronological way. Chronological means whichever happened first was written first, then second, and then third. So the events were written in a chronological way from 12th June 1942 till 1st August 1944. So the last entry in this diary was on 1st August 1944. It was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's mostly widely read books. So I have already told you that this was translated into many languages, and it is very it has been read all over the world. There have also been several films, television and theatrical productions, and even an opera based on the diary. So this would definitely tell you that how much this diary, the story of Anne Frank was, you can say, popular. Described as the work of a mature and insightful mind. See, two words have been given, mature and insightful mind. But we know that the writer is a small girl, a little girl of 13 to 15 years. But even when she was so young, but her mind is insightful and her writing is very, very mature. The diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. So this is a record of daily life under Nazi occupation. Anne Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. So Anne Frank has become one of the most widely read victims of Holocaust. Now, what is Holocaust? Now, Holocaust is a kind of sequential killing of people in a large scale, step by step. This had happened. This word is, mostly used with the mass killing of these Jewish people under the Nazi concentration camps in during the World War II. So Anne Frank is one of the most widely read victims of this kind of Holocaust. So I guess I'm clear about this. So students, after this you have a short assignment. We have activity here. We have 2 activities, and I guess it would not be tough for you. Please do it as your home assignment. The question, the activity number 1 and activity number 2 on page number 49 is your assignment for home. And I would continue with the explanation now. See, this all is in a form of diary entry. So this of course is an autobiographical thing. Whatever has been written is true, and it has happened really with Anne Frank. With this we should read. So she writes, Anne Frank writes, writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. So Anne Frank, she writes that writing a diary is a very strange experience for her. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. So why is writing diary so much kind of strange experience for her? She says that she has not written anything like this before. But this is not the only reason. She feels that not only Anne herself, but nobody would be interested in the musings. Musings means thoughts, whatever is happening across her mind. So in the musings of a 13-year-old girl. Now interestingly, this has become an irony because now everybody is interested in knowing what happened to Anne Frank. Okay. Oh well, it doesn't matter. So she says that if nobody is interested in the musings of a 13-year-old girl, then I'm not bothering about it. It doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. Here, off my chest means to reveal some kinds of secret which she has. So she says that she doesn't bother whether anybody is interested in the musings of a 13-year-old child or not, but she feels like writing, and she feels like writing because she has many things which she wants to reveal, she wants to disclose. There are many secrets, there are many things which she has not shared with anybody, which she has not disclosed to anybody, and now she wants to disclose. And where would she disclose it? She would disclose all these things in her diary. Now, why would a 13-year-old girl want to disclose her secrets in a diary? She explains it in the coming paragraph. Paper has more patience than people. A very splendid kind of insight which she has. Paper has more patience than people, and this is a universal fact. You write anything on paper, and nobody is going to reveal that secret until and unless somebody reads it. But if you happen to speak something to somebody, then there is always a danger that that person can blab out your secret any time. That person can disclose your secrets to anybody. So like this, she says that paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying, on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands. So she thought this when one day she was very depressed and she was sitting with her chin on her hands like this. She was sitting and she was thinking and she was depressed, and then she thought that paper has more patience than people. Okay. Bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. So she was that time bored, and listless means she did not have any clue whether she has to be inside, whether she wants to go outside or stay inside. I finally stayed where I was brooding. Now here brooding means thinking something in a very pensive mood, in a very thoughtful mood. So she stayed there only and she was brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience. And since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff-backed notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit of difference. So she says that she would not let anybody read this diary. She will write everything in this diary, and she will not disclose this diary to anybody. She will not want anybody to read this diary until she finds a real friend. Okay, now I'm back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. So the first reason which has prompted her, which has motivated her, inspired her to keep a diary, is the first reason is that she doesn't have a friend. Let me put it more clearly. Since no one will believe that the 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I'm not. So she says that nobody in the world would believe that a 13-year-old girl can be without a friend. And she is not. That means she has friends. She has friends and she is not alone in the world. But she doesn't have such a kind of friend to whom she will disclose all the secrets of her heart. I have loving parents. Now she is writing about her parents, her friends and all. She says, I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister. She is 13 and her sister is 16 years old. Margot. She has a loving family. So I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. So not only her family, about 30 people are there whom she can call friends. I have a family, loving aunts and a good home. No. On the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. So on the surface, it looks as if she has everything, but she doesn't have one true friend. All I think about when I am with my friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. So when she's with her friends, she wants to spend quality time. She wants to spend good time with them. She doesn't want to speak ordinary things to them because she feels that they would not be interested or whatever. But she doesn't want to share these things with her friends. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. So she's not so much close to her friends. Maybe it's my fault, but that we don't confide in each other. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately, they are not liable to change. This is why I've started the diary. So she has started the diary because although she has many friends, but she doesn't share things with them. She only wants to have good time with them. She doesn't want to bother them with ordinary things. To enhance the image of this long-awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do, but I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this friend Kitty. So she says that she will not write this diary like a diary entry. For her, this diary is her true friend, is the most trustworthy friend which she can have, and therefore she is going to refer to this diary as Dear Kitty. This diary would be her friend, and now onwards, that means from then onwards, she would write down everything which she feels like in this diary. So this is the end of part 1, and here you see she has given a very good reason, and Frank has given a very you can say trustworthy reason why she has kept a diary. Even though she has so many friends, but she has kept diary, and this diary has been a kind of outlet for all her emotions. She also says that nobody would be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old girl, but still then here we see that her insightful mind and the maturity of her thought is evident in her piece of writing, and whatever she writes, everything is very you can say simple, and it is giving an insight into the mind of Anne Frank also. So dear students, this is all for now. Please try the questions of oral comprehension check which has been given just at the end of part 1, and I would be getting back to you later with the explanation next part. Thank you. Goodbye.